Hey YouTube, what's up? Here to talk about the AK74U made by CYMA. Now this gun is getting greatly popular because CYMA has a lot of affordable AEGs and submachine guns, and people really take advantage of that by buying their guns. So going into the review, of course, starting from the buttstock going down to the tip of the flash hider. So let's go. Alright, so as you see, the stock is hollowed out, and it is hollow inside the tubes, which is saving weight. But even though it is hollowed out, the gun is still pretty heavy. But starting off with the stock, you see it is metal. Now most of the metal on this gun is pot metal, but as long as it's metal, for the beginners, it's alright. To me, as long as it's metal, like I said, it's alright. Because I'd rather have crap metal over plastic any day. So moving on with the stock, you'll notice the swivel sling mount, which is extremely annoying and makes a horrible ping noise every time moved. But the way to fix that is to get a sling, attach it, and the weight of the gun will keep it steady. Now, of course, as a feature from AKs, the stock is foldable, and I'll show you that right now. As you notice, the little button right in between those two bolts, you push that down and the stock, of course, will fold. Now you will see the little tab that is right there, and that is where the stock locks, like so. And the lock is very strong and it's not going anywhere. But the way to take it out, I'll get a closer look at it. So the way to get it out is that little tab. You have to push back and then lift. Alright, so moving on to the body of the gun, you will notice that it's also metal. Now, like I said, the construction of this metal is kind of like pot metal. Not the best quality, but still metal. So it can break, and I'll show you an example of that in a bit. But the body, the pistol grip, is indeed ABS plastic. It's very comfortable to use, and also is textured for grip and comfortability. The trigger guard is metal, and so is the trigger. The trigger guard has a nice size to it, allowing gloved hands to reach in and pull the trigger. Moving on to the selector switch. The selector switch is one of my favorites. Nice and big and clicks in place. As you see, as you're holding the gun, you would take your thumb or you would take your hand off the trigger guard, hold it, and just simply snap back. And then to do the opposite, there's a little tab up there, and I can't do it right now, but yeah. So the selector switch is very nice and firm, and is basically not hard to use. So moving on to installing the battery and the upper receiver, the upper receiver is able to come off by this little button right here. As you see, push back and you are able to see part of the gearbox, the hop up, and the wiring, and that is where you'll put your battery, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so putting in the battery is pretty simple. Like I said, push down on this tab, lift it up. You are only allowed to lift it that high, and be careful of your fingers that doesn't fall on it. Alright, so the gun does come with this 8.4 stick volt battery, 8.4 volt stick battery, and it's pretty easy to install. You'll see the hole at the end of the gun, or by the end of the wiring up there. You will simply slide it in, and it goes through the handguard, and there you go. Now you just click that back, and be careful of the wires, and simply either push the button down, or you can slam it, but I recommend not doing it a whole lot. Like that. Alright, so for the mag release and the magazine, the gun does come with a 600 round high cap magazine, which requires a winding, as you see. Now the magazine is ABS plastic, and the magazine this gun comes with is brown, but I prefer you buy the black because it looks pretty good and the brown looks a little orange. So I recommend the black. Now, of course, the way to use a high cap: open that tab, pour the BBs in, wind it up, and there you go. Mag release is pretty simple. Simply grab the mag, push down with your thumb, and slides right out. Pretty simple. Now you will notice that on all AK models, the mag well is puny. There is not a whole lot of space for the magazine to be supported. As you see, it's like a half an inch of a mag well. So of course you are going to have a little bit of wobble, but that can be fixed with black electric tape going across. Moving on to the hop up. The hop up is kind of unique, other than a lot of which I have used. You do pull back the bolt, and it does reveal a little tab that you could push back and pull forth. Sorry, and I'll get a close up of that. Alright, so as you see, you pull back the charging handle, which is non-functional, and there will be a little itty bitty tab that you push back and forth, and that will adjust the hop up to your wantings, or not wantings, but need. Alright, so back on with the body. Forgot to go into detail about the mag release. The mag release is metal, so it's most likely not going to break. So moving on with the front sight, you can choose between, I don't know if you would call these apertures or just kind of sights, but you would choose between these two apertures. That's what I'm going to call them, and they are flip up and flip down. Alright, so now on with the front end of the gun. You'll notice that this is a real wood handguard. You can buy the real wood for only extra $5, which I prefer because it just looks a lot better than the fake wood. Now also, you'll notice this, which is what I was talking about, and I'll show you a close-up of that. Alright, so as you see, the front sight is actually kind of missing. It did chip. Like I said, it is not the strongest metal, but under some sort of stress, somehow it can be broken. So you need to be careful of the delicate parts on this gun. Moving on to the flash hider. The flash hider is removable. You would take it off from here to there. It is not just that little flash hider, but it does have 14mm threads, so you can mount silencers, different flash hiders, or anything else you want. But also, you have to be careful because you can take the orange tip off, but if you get caught with this gun, there's no way to put it back on. To get it off, you have to take pliers and literally rip it off, which I highly advise not doing, but it's dangerous. So if I were you, I would just buy an extra flash hider that is black, and whenever you're transporting the gun, put on the orange one. Yes, it's a pain, but it's the law, and you can get in serious trouble if you're caught driving with this in your car. Alright, for an overall view, this gun is great for beginner to intermediate players. Like I said, it's a pretty hefty gun, and it's pretty big, so if you are a small person and you have trouble handling just airsoft rifles, this is not the best SMG that you could choose. I'm sure there's others like an MP5, which is actually pretty small and controllable for other small players. Also, I forgot to mention that you can buy a rail for this gun that will hook on to that mechanism right there, as you see. And you can mount scopes, optics, ACOGs, red dots, EOTechs, or anything you want. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I highly recommend it to intermediate to beginner players. Like I said, it's a great gun, shoots fast, and it is a nice price for beginner airsofters. So thanks for watching, and this has been a Florida Airsofter.